What's going on, everybody? We're back with another video. Today we're going to be doing the hows and why, or why and how you do a long run. And I'm just going to be sharing my personal experience, some advice from teammates and coaches of the past and present, and why doing a long run can really benefit your training and improvement as a distance athlete. At the same time, we're going to be watching Jakob Ingebrigtsen there on the left. He's about to attempt a 2 mile world record. I won't spoil it for those who haven't seen it. This is a good race from about a month ago in the Diamond League. So, as you watch that, sit back and enjoy, and I'll give you guys some tips on some long runs. So, I guess getting into the why we do it, because that's kind of the first step when you're doing anything. You want to know why. Well, long runs are really great at building your aerobic foundation. Running for a duration longer than normal, whether it's 40 minutes, 50, trying to get into that hour range. And even now, I'm running at about an hour and a half, hour 40. And what you're doing to your body is just building up this amazing strength and endurance by allowing your blood and your system to just work for a long period of time without stopping. It doesn't have to be super intense at first, and it's just a really good way of building that endurance. So, I guess the bigger thing is how we're going to be doing it. So, I've had a couple different methods over the years, but what I do now and what I've liked in the past kind of blend together. So, obviously, you're going to want to have a good route in mind. I used to do a lot of my long runs on a flat course, and while that feels really good mentally and on the body, it seems easy at the time, and running fast always feels good. What I've learned now is it's really important to get some hills in on those runs and make sure you're really giving yourself a challenge. It's a long distance, so you really practice pacing yourself, and those hills are just a great way of introducing the pacing stuff while also adding in a lot of strength. Especially with it being a longer run, you can really explore your area, and you don't want to be forced to avoid any hills that you might come across. So get creative with your routes and just have fun with these runs. Now, if you are just starting out and you haven't run very long in the past, don't be afraid to do some easier routes that aren't going to have hills that make the last 6 miles just impossible. So keep that in mind. I'd suggest for the more experienced long runners out there, look to be doing some hills, look to challenge yourself. The results will show. The next thing is a bit of the math of how to do a proper long run. So I've always heard doing long runs at about 20 to 25% of your week's volume. Now, what that would look like is, I'm planning to do a 50-mile week. 20% would be a 10-mile long run, and 25% would be about 12 and a half. So that's a good range for those beginners who aren't really sure what distance they should be doing. Why don't you look at the weekly mileage and just take a percentage, see if that's reasonable for you. Now, I actually tend to do a little bit more than 25%. I've been doing long runs for a long time, and one of my old teammates who's very successful collegiately told me his team just crushes these long runs, does long distances, and it's a big part of why they're so successful. So I definitely tend to lean more towards, 30%. That comes in time, so if you're sticking to the 20 to 25% rule for now, you should be in a great place. The next part is actually being on the run. How do you want to approach this? Because it's definitely challenging to pace yourself through a 10, 12, 14-mile long run. Even being experienced in doing 8 or 9 milers, going far past the 10-mile mark is no easy feat. So our team now likes to do what we call a progression long run. And last weekend, I did my own progression long run, had a ton of success following this method, and got some really good work in, but also was able to pace myself because I was running alone. I did incorporate some tough hills, so it definitely would have been, a pretty big challenge had I not planned to pace myself in the beginning. So I actually have the long run pulled up right here, and there's two ways to go about pacing yourself. There's looking at the splits per mile, and that's something that is easy to fall back on. A lot of watches have that feature. It's easy to track over your phone if you know how long you're going. But it's less reliable of telling how your body's actually doing and how you're feeling. So my team likes to incorporate heart rate into that measure so that you're getting a little bit more accurate. So we do what we just consider a zone 1 to zone 2 to 3 progression. And for those of you who don't know what the zones are, you kind of have your heart rate zones that start in zone 1, which are easy. Zone 2, which is, a medium effort, can certainly be quick. And then zone 3, definitely more of a workout or race pace. So as you go through your run, it's a good idea to start that first half out at that easy pace, zone 1, making sure you're staying calm and relaxed as you get those hills in. Great time to work on your form and just make sure you're in a good rhythm for that second half. As that second half comes through, definitely a good idea to start creeping up into zone 2, start pushing those hills while still making sure you have enough gas left in the tank so those last few miles you don't fall off too hard. That's what's great about a long run. You're really getting a lot of practice for that race environment. It's a long mental battle, and you can't go out too quickly because you've got a long race ahead. So that's why I really like long runs for mental preparation as well. So kind of getting into the final miles of a long run, you're going to want to try and progress down. The word progression is self-explanatory. You're trying to lower that pace while increasing that heart rate over the run. And it's great to start out even, but as you push into the back half of that run, you should definitely be trying to ramp it up. Now, another reason heart rate's a valuable tool is because paces can fluctuate rapidly with hills, downhills. It's really easy to drop 30 seconds to a minute on a downhill mile versus an uphill. So keep that in mind. If your pace starts to fall off and you're on a big hill, realize the hill's there, and you're not always going to be able to maintain that steady decrease in time as the run goes on. But it's definitely good parameters to having a great long run, and those are the big tips for how to do it. I guess the tip I didn't mention, you're not always going to have this luxury, but if you're in your summer training block right now and you've got some friends who are into running, go out and run with them. It's going to be a whole lot easier to run, talk with somebody. You're going to work on building up that aerobic system, just constantly talking to someone. And at the same time, as you get into those later miles, it's also great to have someone with you to push yourself. I know I had a lot of fun running with some high school teammates over the summer and past years, and just pushing each other on those runs, starting out conversational and just working down into the low 6-minute pace, and just watching the challenge increase as you try and maintain a conversation. So there's the last tip. Have some fun with these. Long runs are a really special time to just be with your own thoughts, be with a friend, get to know somebody, and get some really great training in at the same time. So I guess that's all for the video today. I hope you guys enjoyed. Please comment down below if you like this content and you'd like me to try it again with a future Jakob win as he's coming into the final stretch here. Stay tuned for the next video. Thanks for watching.